school. It's basically just an international nonprofit with several chapters globally and also nationally, Washington, New York, and Florida, Tennessee. And our motto and um, our goal is to help students pursue their passions in CS and other STEM fields as well. You can check out our website too if you'd like. I'll put it in the chat right now. And something about me, currently I am a rising senior. I attend Limerick High School. The person teaching the presentation today is actually one of our tutors. His name is Ryan Jane. I think Ryan will be talking a little bit about himself now and just go on to presenting.
Yeah, so hi, my name is Ryan. I'm currently a rising sophomore at Sarasota High, and I'm one of the tutors at STAC. So I guess today we're just going to be going over a quick workshop on Android Studio. How to use it, and then we're going to build a pretty simple application using Java in Android Studio. So just a quick question, you guys can type this in the chat. How many of you have Android Studio set up on your computer? Okay, so a few people have it, a few people don't. So I guess I'll just quickly go over how to set it up. So it's pretty simple. Just go to just go to Google Chrome and type in Android Studio download. If you have a Mac, then you can download it for Mac. You can also download it in Windows as well. So just click on this first link, developer.android.com. And that should take you here. And you can, if you have it downloaded, if you don't have it downloaded, you can just click this button right here. This is for Mac, and then you can just download it. It'll take, I think, like a few minutes, like 4 to 5 minutes to download all the resources and stuff. So I guess for the people who don't who haven't downloaded it yet, just download it right now, and then you can join us later. So for the people who do have it downloaded, we're gonna get started. So if you have it downloaded and you open up Android Studio, you should be getting this screen where you can start a new project, open an existing project, and so on. So do the people who have this, who have Android Studio, do you have this screen open? Or you can just type it in the chat. Okay, so it seems like a few people have it open, a few people don't. Yeah, so it's pretty simple. Just the first thing that pops up when you click on Android Studio is this screen. So I guess I'll just get started with our app today. So for those of you who don't know, Android Studio is basically an app development program where you can build different applications in Java or Kotlin, which are 2 languages, and then you can post that on the Google Play Store. We're going to be using Java, and we're just going to be building a simple calculator. So for reference, this is, one second. Yeah, so for reference, this is what we're gonna build. Just a simple calculator. It might seem a little complicated at first, but we're gonna walk through it step by step, and then you'll see that it's actually not that complicated. So let's go back to Android Studio. And what you want to do is you want to start a new Android project. So click on that, and then you'll get a bunch of project templates: basic activity, bottom navigation activity, empty activity. And these are just like starter templates for depending on what type of app you're going to be building. So if you're going to build like a map sort of app, you can click on this. And there are different ones, but for our purposes, we're going to be using an empty activity app. So click on that, double click, and then you'll go, and then you can name it whatever you want. So I'll just name it calculator. And then you can save it. You have to save it on your desktop or in downloads or something. Wait, can everyone see my screen?
No, I don't think so. They can see the template screen.
Okay.
I think some people can see it, some people can't. That's weird.
Okay, wait, now can you guys see it?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, cool. So just name it whatever you want and then save it in a folder. And then this is important. You have two options here for languages. You have Kotlin and Java. You want to make sure you're selecting Java. And then your Android SDK is should be preset for you. And then you want to press finish. And then you should get your new project.
All right, Ryan, I think your screen stopped sharing.
Yeah. Okay, so can everyone see this? Okay, cool. So, and does everyone have this open? If not, it's okay. We're gonna walk through it, so you can just listen in, because I'm gonna be explaining everything. So you don't have to follow it. You can just listen. And anyway, this is gonna be posted on YouTube anyway. So for those of you who missed a little of the beginning, you guys can just go there and see it. Okay, so you see we have two tabs here, right? We have main activity.java and activity main.xml. You want to click activity main.xml, and you'll see you have a screen here, right? Two screens actually, and that's sort of like our that's sort of, if we run this, that's sort of what will show up on our screen. So you can also see we have a bunch of buttons, text views, image views over here. And the easy way to do it is you can just click this and drag it on your screen. And now if you run it, you're gonna have a button on your screen. It's not gonna do anything, but you're gonna have a button on your screen. And like that's a pretty simple way to do it. But once you start working with larger projects and you start working in teams and stuff, building larger apps, it's gonna get really, really complicated using this type of template. So let's just delete that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna see the split button here. We're gonna click that split button, and then we're gonna open this. So this basically ensures that we're adding all of our elements programmatically rather than through the screen, whatever you want to call it. So is everyone like with me? Does everyone understand what I'm doing here? Or does anyone have any questions? Okay, yeah, so can you show, okay, so yeah, so over here, so if you just go to design, you'll have this full template here. So it should be in your top right corner. You'll see a button that says split, and you want to press that split button, and then it'll take you into this view here where you can add your stuff programmatically. So you'll see we have a text view already in our thing, and that says hello world. So this is that text view. So we just want to delete that because we're not going to be using it. And okay, let me explain something first. So basically, so each element has to have constraints on your screen. So if you just drag an element on your screen, it's not gonna, your project's not gonna run. You're gonna get an error because that element's not constrained to your screen. So the software doesn't know exactly where to put the element, even though like you can see where the element is and you want it there. The actual Android Studio doesn't know where you want the element. So you have to add constraints, and that's what like all of this is. So like layout width and layout height. So it's really not that difficult. It's just like the idea is just adding constraints. So what we want to do first is, if you guys can see this this yellow thing on the top that says Android X.constraint layout.widget .constraint layout. You want to delete that, and then you want to say linear layout. And you notice that autocomplete takes care of a lot of this stuff for you. And let me explain what a linear layout is. So basically, a linear layout is sort of like a stack view, if any of you have worked with Xcode. So a stack view is basically where you align all of your elements in either horizontally or vertically. So this ensures that they're automatically, your views are automatically vertically aligned with each other. So that means you don't have to do it manually. And for our purposes, that works because we need all of our views to be on top of each other. So did you choose? Yes, yeah, I chose empty activity. Yeah. Okay, so wait, hold up 1 second. Let me just do something real quick. All right. So basically, okay, let's see. Okay, so can everyone see my screen still? Okay, cool. So basically what we want to do now is we want to add some constraints to the vertical to the linear layout. So as I said before, a linear layout can either be vertical or horizontal. That means your elements are going to be stacked on top of each other or stacked next to each other. So we want to specify that we want them stacked on top of each other. So what we're going to say is, we're going to say orientation, and then it's going to autocomplete to android.orientation. And then you'll see we have two options, horizontal and vertical. It's going to go ahead and say vertical. So that ensures our things are stacked up on top of each other. And yeah, so that should be enough for the linear layout. And then you want to go inside the linear layout. And so as I showed in the beginning, our basic layout is going to be one number up here, the second number over here, and then 4 buttons, and then the result. So what we want to do is first we want to set up these two text fields. So we want to, it's called an edit text in Android Studio. So we want to say edit. I'm going to say put 2 of these, and then say edit text. And now we want to add constraints to the edit text. So we want to add a width and a height. So width, and make sure it's layout width, not Android width. We want to say match parent, and this means match parent basically means that it matches the linear layout width, and that means it'll be lined up with the linear layout, which is what we want. And then we have to say the height, right? So Android layout.height. And this time we want to say wrap content, because if we say match parent, then it's going to take up the entire screen because the linear layout takes up the entire screen. So we want to say wrap content, which means we're wrapping whatever is inside that text field. So it fits the text perfectly. And then we want to say input is number. So that specifies like the data type that's being inputted into the text field. So is everyone does anyone have any questions up until this point? I don't see anything like that in main activity. Yeah, so in main activity, you won't see anything like that. You will see two tabs up near the top of your screen, activity main and main activity. So you want to click on activity main, and then you should see just this screen, and then you should click split, and that will enable you to see this as well as your split screen. Did you choose an empty layout format when we were creating the project? Because the empty layout should have an activity main and a main activity. Okay, so does anyone else have any other questions of how this works? And also, if you don't have activity main, if you go to res and then layout, your activity main should be in there. So you can also double click and open it that way, but it should open automatically. So if no one else has any questions, should we continue? Okay. So you see we specified the width, height, and the input type. And if you look at the right side of our screen in our main activity.java, not main activity, in our view over here, you can see that we have a text field up here. Like you can see that it's created. If you can't see it, then let me know and I can help you, but you should be able to see it if you've gotten all of this code in here. So now what we want to do is the user has to know what to put inside that text field. So we can say hint, and then we can say first number. And then you can see that the words first number appear inside your text field. And that kind of gives the user a hint as to what to enter in there. So you don't have to use alerts and all of that stuff. And then what you want to do is you want to add an ID. So basically, let me explain. So an ID is what you're gonna, so once we're done with all the layout, we're gonna go into our main activity.java and we're gonna write some code to connect these up. So if we write ID, you want to do an @ and then it should auto-complete to +ID \. And then you want to write an ID. So I'm going to make it first _ underscore number. And then, yeah, and then you should have no errors. You might have a few warnings like this, but warnings never really don't really affect the your project build. So yeah. Okay, so I think now we have completed our first edit text. So now we need another one, right? Because we're inputting two numbers. So just copy and paste. So do Command C and then Command V. And then you notice you're gonna get a few errors, and that is because your ID is the same for both of them. And you can't have an ID. Each element has to have a different unique ID. So let's just change this to second number. So now you see, and then we also have to change this instead of first number to second number. And now you see we have two text fields right on top of each other, which is because of the linear layout. And they say first number and second number. So does everyone have that? Okay, so so if you have it, if you want to type in the chat that you do have it, or if you don't have it, if you want to, if you need any help or anything, you can ask me. So I'm just gonna assume that everyone has it because I'm not seeing anything in the chat. So now we gotta move on to our buttons, right? So as you saw, the plan was to put 4 buttons right next to each other with addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, right? So we have to create another linear layout inside of our linear layout. And this time we want our linear layout to be horizontal because we're gonna have our buttons next to each other instead of on top of each other. You can do it on top of each other, but I think it looks better next to each other. So we have our linear layout, and then we wanna add some buttons. So first we wanna add some constraints to our linear layout. So if you go in here, you wanna set a width and a height. So width equals wrap content and height equals wrap content. So this just means it's gonna wrap the buttons in the width and the height, which is what we want, so it fits. And then we have to actually, wait, no, sorry, my bad. It's the width is match parent, and the height is wrap content. And then we want our orientation to be horizontal because we're having the buttons next to each other. And yeah, that should be it. Actually, we actually have to include this thing called weight sum. So weight sum, and then we want to make it 4 because we're having 4 buttons. And this just makes sure that each button fits the stack view, the linear layout. So inside of our linear layout, we want to create 4 buttons. So does anyone have any questions up until this point in creating the second linear layout? Okay, so I'm assuming that everyone's good. So we're gonna go into our linear layout. Make sure this is inside the linear layout. Let's just close this real quick. And then we want to say button. And this just creates a button. And we have to add a constraint. So layout width, height, layout height. And for the button, we want the layout width and height to be wrap content for both. And that means Yeah, I think we know what match parent and wrap content means. If we have match parent, that means the button is going to be the width of the entire stack view, which is not what we want because we're going to have 4 buttons. So we've set a width and a height, and again we have to add an ID. And remember @ plus ID \, and then we can call it add. So we've created a width and a height for our button, and we've called it add. And now we can say text. And our text, we want it to be a plus because that's it. This is the addition button. And then we want our layout weight. Layout. Sorry, second. Okay, so okay, I don't know why that's not working. Oh, we have to add, oh, sorry. Hang on 1 second, let me just fix this. Yeah, and then close that. And then we have our button. And then we want the weight. Okay, so we want to create 4 buttons. So let's just copy and paste this code 4 times. And we want the different IDs, right? So let's make this subtract, divide, multiply, and then divide. I'm not sure why this isn't working. Okay, there we go. Is the first one supposed to be with? What does, is the first one supposed to be with? What does that mean? Okay. And Dia, did you have a question as well? No? Okay. Okay, so is everyone good? Okay, so now if we look at our screen, we can see that we have 4 nice buttons right next to each other with addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And again, you could do this just through this template as well. So if we go, you can do it just through the template, but once you get into more serious projects, it's going to be a lot easier and you're going to have a lot more control programmatically. So now that we have our buttons and our 2 views, we want to add a result view, right? So we want to display the results somewhere. So we're going to use a text view for this. And we're going to do this outside of our linear layout, or inside linear layout. This is still going to be inside the overall linear layout. So inside this linear layout, I believe it's called a text view. So we're going to say text view, and then enter, and then, okay, so now again, width and height. So width, wrap content, height, wrap content, and we're using wrap content because we don't want our result view to be too big, then it looks kind of unproportional. So yeah, and now we have to create an ID for our result view. So we're gonna say ID and then @ ID, and then we're just gonna call this result. So, okay, so let's see. And then we want the text size of the result view. So let's say text size to be 28 dp. And then we want and then we also want this thing called layout margin top. So layout margin top, and that ensures that there's space in between the other linear view and this this result view. So we're gonna put 20. And we should be seeing a text view, result view somewhere soon. And then, oh shoot, right, we forgot to include text, and it's gonna be result. There we go. And now we can see our result view is showing, and it looks good. So this is going to be our overall layout for the for our app. And okay, so now that we're done with our overall layout, we can talk about if anyone has any questions on how to set this up. So like on anything, whether it be the linear layouts, edit texts, buttons, like text views, does anyone like need any help with anything, or do you guys have any questions? Okay, so I'll just assume that everyone's good up until this point. Okay, so I guess I think so. I can ask Sid and Ansh, but I think it is going to go on Discord. It's also going to go on YouTube. So
yeah, the recording's going to be put on YouTube. So yeah, you can check it out there under our channel named UniGlobe Hacks.
And yeah, we will also post a YouTube link on Discord.
All right, cool. So if there aren't any more questions, then I'll go into the actual like programming part, like in Java, and we're gonna go and we're gonna go over how to connect all of these elements, and then how to manipulate them to do what we want. So we want to obviously add, subtract, multiply, and divide them. So we're gonna do that in our main activity.java. So everyone just transition over to this screen over here, and you'll see all of this stuff. So you can just ignore that for now. So that's just like making your class. So now what we want to do is we want to create an object for every single one of our elements, and an object is basically something that connects like these physical buttons and views and into something we can use in our program. So what we're gonna say is private text, and then we're gonna call it whatever we want to call it. So we're gonna call it edit first number, edit second number. and the semicolon. Yeah. So in this statement, we just created two objects called edit first number and edit second number. We haven't actually linked them into our views over here, but we're gonna get to that. But now we also have our buttons, right? So we want to create 4 buttons. So private button, and this private keyword is just basically to ensure that we're only going to be using these objects in this project and not anywhere else. So we have to create 4 button objects. We can call it button add, button subtract, button multiply, and button divide. And okay, we're getting an error here. Don't know why. Okay, cool. And now we have to do our result view. So private text view, and then we can call it text result. So what we just did here is we created 7 objects that each correlates to a certain button and a certain text view and a certain edit text view that we created over here. It doesn't correlate yet, but we're gonna make sure that it does in the next few minutes. So once we have all of that set up, we want to go inside this function, and now we want to do now we're going to actually link them up. So we want to say edit first number equals finds view by ID, and this is where we link them up. So if we go back to our activity main, our first number ID is called first number, so we put that in there, and we put a second semicolon, but first we have to do r.id first number, and then you'll see that the errors go away and it links up successfully. We do that for this second number as well. Okay, yeah, so this finds view by ID is just like a built-in tool in Android Studio. It's not really like anything we've created so far. So yeah, it's just like a built-in function in Android Studio. Actually, let me make some comments. It's always good to comment your code. So creating object. Okay, so we can see that we're creating objects, and then we're linking up our first 2 edit text views via the ID. And then we're gonna do the same thing for the buttons. So we're gonna say button add equals find view by ID r.id dot I think we called it add. Yeah, and then we have to do this 4 times. So because we have 4 buttons, let's just do that 4 times, and we change this to subtract, multiply, and divide. I believe button multiply and button divide, and I think that's what we called it over here. Let's go to subtract. So we have add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Oh yeah, we have to make these capital. multiply, divide, and then is add capital? No, it isn't. Cool. And linking of our buttons via the ID. And now we remember we have our result view, so we are gonna move up our result view. We're gonna say, what do we call it? Text result equals find view by ID r.id dot results, I think. Yeah, results. Okay, so now we've linked up all of our elements. Does anyone have any questions so far? So I'll take that as a no. If you have any, just type it in the chat and then I can get to them. Okay, cool. So once we've linked up all of our buttons, now we want to perform an activity once our button is clicked. So perform button is clicked. So that means it's like when you click the button, you want something to happen. So basically, we have to do this for 4 buttons. So we said, so first we're going to start with our addition button. So we're going to say button add dot set on click listener. And then what you want to do is you want to, inside here, you want to do control space. Wait 1 second. Oh yeah, so you want to do new and then control space and then view dot on click listener, and then you can, this autocomplete fills out a function for you. Does everyone have this set up? It's do control plus space and type new first and then do control dot space, and then you can get this function. And now what we want to do is we want to like perform something when the button is clicked, right? So we're gonna say, so basically we want if the user clicks on a button while one of the text fields is empty, then we don't want that to happen, because then we're gonna get an app crash, right? Because we want to, that's what it's called. It's called an app crash when you try to do something that doesn't exist. So if the text doesn't exist and you try to try to perform an operation, it's not going to work. So you're going to get an app crash. So what we want to do is we want to check to make sure that the first text field and the second text field are greater than 0 and are not null once we click the button. So we want to say if edit first number is not equal to null, and let's do this, hold up. And our edit first, so the way we find the length of the text field is we say edit first number dot get text dot length, and then we want to say is greater than 0. You can say is greater than or equal to 1, or you can say greater than, or you can say greater than 0. I'll just say greater than 0 for readability. And you'll see that we now get no errors. And then we also want to check the let me explain this first. So in Java, there are operators. This is not equal to. So basically, if you have two equal signs, you will get here. Let me type this out. So two equal signs equals is checking for equality. So that's checking to make to see if two values are equal. And then if you have an exclamation mark and an equal, that is checking to make sure values are not equal. So the exclamation mark and the equal sign is not equal, so we want to make it not equal to null. And then just single equal is assigning a value to something. So you can see we use that a lot. So we assigned edit first number to the ID of first number. So yeah, and then we have greater than equal to and then less than equal to. I believe you guys are familiar with that. So yeah, so that's just something to know. So then once we do this, we also want to make sure the second text view is not null. So we want to say, we just want to do the same thing. So just copy and paste it here. And this is what you call a nested if statement. So that means you have an if statement inside of an if statement. They're nested loops as well. And like this is a little bit more like advanced, but we're going to use it here because I think it's easy to understand. But we want to change this to edit second number and edit second number. Okay, great. So now we have that set up. Okay, so the thing with Android Studio is in our text field, the input value is automatically a string, right? It's a string is like a word, but we want a number, and you can't perform operations on strings. It's because like they're treated as numbers, and numbers, you don't do operations on numbers. So you can't really do operations on strings. So what we want to do is we want to convert the number that the user types into a number. It sounds kind of weird, but like it's what we have to do because or else it won't work. So let's create a variable called double first number, and we want this to equal double dot value of, and we want to say first number dot get text dot toString. And what this does is it converts the string value. So we're getting the string value, and then we're saying double value of this string, and then we're assigning that to first number. So yeah, so that basically converts a string into a number, and we want to do that for second number and edit second number. Okay, so I think I'm moving like pretty fast right now, so I think we should just step back and look at what we've done so far. So you can see here we have objects that for each element of the program. So if anyone has any questions like about anything, just please feel free to ask. Okay, so then once we've assigned our objects, we're gonna link up our first two edit texts through the ID that we assigned over here in our activity main. Then we're gonna link up the buttons through the ID. So we're just linking up the text views, linking up the buttons, and then linking up the result views over here. So does everyone understand what we're doing there? Okay, cool. So, and then this is just explaining what each operator, like can do when using conditionals. And then we want to perform activity once button is clicked. So this exit, yeah, sure. So you want to see the result text view? Yeah, so the result text view is this right here. So we're setting up the height and width as wrap content because we don't want our result to be like too spread out over the entire linear layout. And then we're creating an ID called result for it, which we're later going to connect into our main activity. And with the text is going to be result, as you can see here. And the text size is 28. You just add DP. I think that's just like how Java works. And then you want a margin on the top because you don't want it to be like directly underneath the buttons because that looks kind of sloppy. It's just for aesthetic purposes. It's not really necessary, but it makes your app look a lot better. And then again, we're connecting the buttons up here. So I'm just gonna stay on this page for a minute and let everyone who needs to do this follow along. Okay, so it has everyone successfully copied all of this onto their project, activity main.xml. All right, cool. Yeah, no problem. So going back to our main activity, and like in the middle, like don't hesitate to just ask anything, like because that's the way you learn, you know, so just feel free to ask anything at any time. So yeah, so we were going over this. So this means button add and set click on listener, set on click listener. That means we're just adding an action whenever the button is clicked. And we're having two if statements to check whether the button is, the text view is empty or not. And this is really important because it won't actually show as a physical error in your program because technically the code is right, but during execution, something is gonna mess up and that's what causes an app crash. So you can't really, so the best way to prevent them is to sort of like look ahead and predict them, but you can always find them while testing your app because it's gonna like just stop working. So that's how you know you have an app crash. And then, so now that we're inside both of these if statements and we've confirmed that the length is greater than 0 and none of them are like empty, we want to make the result, we want to make double result equal first number plus second number, I believe. Yeah. And then yeah, so we just assigned this result value to the first and second number sum, but we never actually like made that change the text of the result view because now that we're displaying a result, we have to actually go back and change the text. So what we want to say is text result dot set text, and we're gonna say result equals plus string dot value of, and we're gonna say result. because that's what we named this variable. Okay, let me, let's explain what we're doing here. So what we're doing is we're creating a variable called result, and we're taking the sum of the first number and the second number, because this is the button add, which is supposed to add the two numbers. And then once we take the sum, we have to assign that sum to the result view that we created over here. So this result view, we have to change the text of it manually. So this is what it's doing. We're taking text result.set text. That means just we're setting the text to the result. And this plus is called concatenation. That's basically where you add like a number or another data type, like to the end of a string. So it'll show up as result equals and then whatever result is. And we're taking string.value of because we want to convert the string into we want to convert a double into a string, because you see we're creating a double result, and we want to convert that back into a string because we want to display the results as a string. So that's why we have this string.value of. Does anyone have any questions about these lines or about anything? And I can always go back and explain anything in the activity main or the main activity. All right, cool. Okay, so now that we have finished our if statement, we have to do else. Okay, so if we kept it as a double, I believe we would get an error. So let's try it. Plus results. So we actually don't get an error, which is the dangers of a crash, because we actually can't see it coming. We can only see it once we actually test it. So this looks fine, right? But the result view, the way it works is that they display string values, because usually you're displaying text. So it displays string values. It doesn't normally display numbers. So what you have to do is you have to convert that string into a number. And you see there's nothing physically wrong with this code, right? You're taking this string and you're adding this number onto it. So there's nothing actually wrong with it, like in terms of like syntax. But once we run it, we have to make it into a string once we run it, because we're gonna get a crash otherwise. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Any other questions, and then we can move on to our else statements. So the convention is once you have an if statement, you have to have an else statement, because you're checking if this is like correct, but like if it's not correct, then you also have to do something. So we're going to create those two else statements right now. So we're going to say else. And we're going to have two else statements actually, because we have two if statements, and each else statement is going to correlate to that if statement. And we're going to say edit second number dot set error. And this, we can just say invalid input. And this will just, once they try to press the button, it'll just give them a pop-up message and tell them that that input is invalid. And then they're gonna go back and then re-enter some information. So we're gonna put this over here as well. And we have to change this to edit first number, because this else statement corresponds to this if statement, and those are both about the first number. And then this if statement corresponds to this else statement, and they're both about the second number. It's like sort of like difficult to read, but once you like get more used to the language itself, then it'll be a lot easier to understand what it's doing. And if it feels like you don't really understand what you're doing and you're just copying code, then that's like perfectly all right as well, because a lot of programming starts with just copying code down. So yeah. Okay, so now this is for our first button, right? So we have to have 4 more of these. So wait, actually what we need to do first is we want to, so in Java, there's this thing called a try statement. So it's like a try and then catch. And that basically, what it does is just tries the code inside the try statement. So basically the keyword is just try, and then you just do that. And put a semicolon, and then you'll see your formatting is fixed. And then you want to say catch. And inside your catch, you want to say exception, E, and then a pair of semicolons. And then you want to say E.print stack trace. And you might not, so this might be a little difficult to understand. So basically what we're doing is we're trying this code because it's inside the try statement. And this helps print out the error message. So yeah, it's basically just for printing out the error message. Does anyone have any like confusions or concerns about this particular line or about anything? Okay, so I guess that means everyone's good. And another really helpful tool in Android Studio is you'll see if you click on the semicolons, like it'll highlight which semicolon matches up with which, because once you get a larger project, like even with this project, you have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 semicolons here. And if you're not sure which one it correlates to which, you just click on it and you'll see up here, you can see that one highlighted, and over here, you'll see that main activity extends. So this is the entire class, and this corresponds to that else. So that's really helpful when you're trying to insert code inside of thing. So we see that when we click on this is the end of the catch statement. So we want it at the end of the catch statement, but still inside of the class. So we're just going to copy and paste this entire thing. Another time, and then another time, and another time. So what we, like, our project just grew exponentially, but what we're gonna do, this is basically just creating the second buttons. So now we have to change one thing. We have to, so this is for subtract, right? So we want to do minus, and this is for multiply. So we want to do multiplication. And then this is for division, so we're going to do division. And yeah, so yeah, actually wait, we're supposed to I believe we have to copy this line as well with it. So wait, let's go back. Okay, so now we're back here, right? We have to copy all of this because this is what makes the action like work when you click the button. So copy all of that, paste it 1 time, 2 times, and 3 times. And all right, and now you see that we have an error, and that's because we have to change this to button subtract. I believe that's what we called it. button subtract. And let's see. We're getting an error because oh wait, I think we're missing a semicolon here. Not a semicolon, bracket. So button multiply. And this correlates to that. Okay, so there. Okay, 1 second. Maybe inside. Yeah, wait, that might be what's happening. Actually, wait, let's just go back. Okay. My bad, we have to take this as well. Okay. Don't worry, we figured it out. Control C, Control V, V. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And we change this to button multiply, button, let's make this button multiply, and then this one, button subtract, button divide. And again, we have to change these because instead of performing the addition operator, we want to perform the multiplication, division, and subtraction operators. And so I think we're building successfully, and we're not getting any errors. And I believe that is, I believe we're done. But okay, so again, so I'm just gonna go through each and every line again, just because I went through that last part kind of fast. So basically, let's go back to our activity main, and then we created, so over here we created our linear layout, right? We made it vertical, and then we added 2 constraints called match parent. Is everyone good with that? Okay, and then we created, inside the linear layout, we created 2 edit text fields where they can edit text. And we obviously added constraints. You always have to add constraints on any thing you're doing. And we set an input type as well. And then, which is a number. And then we also set an ID so we can link it up to our main activity.java over here. And then we created another horizontal linear layout. We added constraints, and we added a margin on top, because if we deleted this, it would move up and it would look kind of messy. So if we put that back, it moves down and it looks better. And if we didn't have this line, you see that they wouldn't fit exactly in the view. So we have to have that line. And then we're adding 4 buttons by adding constraints on all of them, and then adding a unique ID to each of the buttons. And obviously we want the user to know which button does which. So we're doing addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And then we're doing our result text view, naming, obviously putting constraints and then naming it as our result as our ID. And then the size is 28. And then again, this is for the margin. So if we were to delete it, it would be closer up and it'll look kind of cramped. So we want to add that. And yeah, so does everyone understand how to programmatically add each element? All right, cool. And now we're in our main activity.java. This is where we type we do our actual Java, and we actually make the program. So we're making private objects here, and that just basically means it's only used in this class. They can't be used anywhere else, and that just helps with organization. So if you're working on another class and autocomplete doesn't offer these as options, and that just helps you understand which is just helps you autocomplete faster. Then once you're inside this function, you want to link up the buttons. You see we're doing, so we're doing that here by r.id. First number, second number, and then we're just linking up through the IDs that we listed in our activity underscore main. So we're doing that for the buttons, text views, and text results. And then we're doing, so we want to add a function that makes sure when the button is clicked, it actually does something. So we're doing it in a try statement because we want to try it. We want to sort of try it out before it, goes before the compiler actually compiles it. So if we say if, so we put two if statements to check the first number and the second number, and then we convert it into a string. We convert into a double, which is basically a decimal. And then we compute the result by addition. So this is addition, and then we print it out in the result view. And then these else statements are making sure that we don't have if we have invalid input, we're gonna give people we're gonna give them an error message so they can fix it. And this helps print out the error message. And then we do it 4 times. And yes, thank you, Dia. I was putting all of them inside of the first button ad. I didn't catch that, so that was a good catch. And yeah, so we're basically doing the exact same thing, except instead of addition, we're doing subtraction, multiplication, and division. And just to let you know, this actually is not an efficient way to complete this program. There are more efficient ways to do it. I just decided to do it this way just because it's a lot. It might be longer, but it's a lot easier to understand. Because it's all laid out for you. You can see everything that's happening. So it's a lot easier to understand. And I actually can't run this right now. I would run it, but I actually can't. My computer's unable. I don't have enough space to download the simulator required on my computer, unfortunately. But to run it, basically what you can do is you just hit that green button on the top right hand corner. That it's sort of like the play button, and that should run it. Yeah, I guess that's it. So I guess you guys can go join your next workshop if you guys are going to, or you can leave the call. If you have any other questions, you guys can stay after and ask me. And yeah, also, if you guys are interested in learning more about cool programming like methods and stuff, you can go to STAC Programming. It's a really great tool, and yeah, thank you for joining.
Yeah, I'll put
Okay.
the link in the chat too one more time for STAC
Okay,
Programming.
thank you, Ryan and Soma, for this amazing workshop. If you want to check out STAC Programming's other workshop, which will be HTML, that'll be happening either tomorrow. I think so, tomorrow. If I'm not, yeah, it'll be happening tomorrow from 3 to 4 p.m. So they'll be teaching HTML basic website coding. And right now, our next workshop is Fleo, so make sure to check it out on Discord. And yeah, that's it.
The links on Discord, and we have it on the email. So yeah. Also, if you guys have any questions about the emails that we sent, or if you guys haven't gotten them, you guys can email us at uniglobehacks@gmail.com.
And also like for like if you want to like create, if you're like out of state, like out of California or even international, you can like create a chapter, contact me, and you know, if you want to like bring the passion to your area, then you can just contact me privately on Discord, because I think I'm a mentor, and yeah, I can just get back to you on that.
Okay, sounds great. So I think we can end it here. And yeah.